Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki. Here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. Death toll in the Israel-Hamas war crosses 2,000. Israeli Defense Minister signals an imminent ground offensive into Gaza. Reports emerge of a Hamas massacre in an Israeli community near the Gaza border. The United Nations says that more than 260,000 people have been forced to flee their homes in Gaza. U.S. President Joe Biden condemns the Hamas attack against Israel as an act of sheer evil, says at least 14 Americans were killed in the attacks. Biden calls Hamas a terrorist organization whose state purpose is the annihilation of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken will visit Israel today. Sensex and Nifty rise to end at the highest level in 3 weeks. CLSA upgrades its stance on India to overweight and increases portfolio allocation. IT major TCS is likely to report second quarter earnings any minute now. A CNBC-TV18 poll expects a muted revenue growth of less than 1%. Stock ends the day marginally in the red. Vivo India denies any violation in legal compliance following arrest of 3 of its executives and the founder of Lava International, Hariom Rai. Vivo says the ED's actions are concerning and the company will exercise all available legal options. And one of India's top performers at the 2011 World Cup victory, Zaheer Khan, speaks about the ongoing World Cup. He believes India and England are the strongest teams and that South Africa could be a dark horse. Right, let's get you the latest on the Israel-Hamas war, which has entered its 5th day with the death toll rising to over 2,000. Israeli jets bombed the Gaza Strip repeatedly overnight. The Israeli Defense Forces claim to have hit hundreds of. The Defense Minister has highlighted an imminent ground offensive. 1,200. Retaliatory airstrikes by Israel have reduced. Over 1,000 have been killed. As per the United Nations, over 260,000 homes. The power authority in the Palestinian enclave has said that its source has been cut off after Israel imposed a siege. Reports have down close to the Gaza border. The attack is likely to have been launched on Earth. President Joe Biden has termed the Hamas attack as an act of sheer assets to the region. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be
bloody hands of the terrorist organization Hamas being is to kill Jews. This is an act of sheer evil.
Joins us from Tel Aviv now. Palki, the Israeli government hinted to Gaza. What are you picking up?
The ground when and not if it is going to happen. What we have to wait and see is how far Israel wants to take it and what is the end game here. Do they want to go in and dismantle the Hamas infrastructure and neutralize the leadership and come back, or do they want to occupy Gaza? They have occupied Gaza, but the military cost of that is very, very high given the sentiment in Gaza. 7 checkpoints, 6 of them open into Israel, which have obviously been sealed and blocked now. The 7th Egypt. And that is where thousands of Gazans are said to be gathering to make their way into Egypt to escape the bombarding that is on and the number of dead is going up. More than 250 children, some 300 women have already died. So it is not looking good at this point.
All right, thank you, Palki, for that. Meanwhile, crude oil prices took a breather after market shrugged off concerns over potential supply disruptions due to the Israel-Hamas war. Support for efforts by OPEC Plus to balance oil markets. Moreover, Iran denied involvement in Hamas's aggression towards Israel. So all these developments. On to today's market action. Dalal Street extended Tuesday's gains to close at a 3-week high. Sensex gained nearly 400 points, while Nifty ended over well, but IT stocks erased gains ahead of earnings. Naya joins us with the day's market highlights. Prashant.
Well, we came into this session on a positive note. The handoff from Wall Street, especially from bond markets, was a big thumbs up. Yields had dropped 15 basis points. That's a big one. Remember, bond markets had not traded since these events over the weekend. So the reaction was pretty emphatic. Well, so we had a positive equity close. We had lower bond yields, oil, which was well behaved, and it was a good start. We got a good start. The market perhaps could not build on it through the course of the session. The Nifty was the better of the two indices as compared to the Nifty Bank. On your screen, Nifty Bank has been the trouble spot. It gave up gains almost 300 points from the day's high and closed just below a resistance level. Actually, the Nifty Bank has been lagging. It's not made a higher high. The hope was that the Nifty would be able to pull it up along with its own rally, but that's not happened today at least. Mid caps and small caps on your screen, came off the day's high, but closed about 0.5% higher. Hero, Wipro, Grasim, Ultratech, these are some of the winners in the Nifty large cap space. HCL Tech came off. Of course, earnings season kicks off with TCS. Adani Ports and LTI Mindtree were some of the other losers that we had. In the broader market, long list, Midhani, that is Mishra Dhatu, big gains. Lakshmi Organics, there was JK Tyre, a brokerage note, an upgrade. HBL Power, West Coast Paper, Welspun Industries, Shalby Hospitals, Gensol, the jeweler, that is Senco, continues its run. Maharashtra Seamless, Atul Auto were some of these names. Pullbacks in BOB, that was of course news related. Central Bank, IOB, other PSU banks. ICICI Pru, JSW Energy and Quick Heal, which has done very well recently, also saw some pullbacks. I mean, it's taking day to, every day as it comes. Focus very much still on bond markets. We get Fed minutes later out of the US, but the big one, of course, is the monthly CPI number, but that's only Thursday when US markets open. Hoping for a continuation of what we've seen, well-behaved yields, dollar and oil prices when we come back tomorrow.
Thank you, Prashant. The global brokerage firm CLSA has upgraded its stance on Indian equities to the overweight category. The firm has increased its India portfolio allocation to 20% above the MSCI benchmark from 40% underweight position earlier. The brokerage firm listed out 8 factors to justify its position. These include rebounding credit impulse, more manageable energy prices, and strongest growth among emerging market peers. CLSA has also highlighted 11 Indian stocks, including Reliance, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Bajaj Finance and Tata Motors, with buy calls. World Bank and International Monetary Fund is holding their annual meeting in Morocco's Marrakech, which was hit by a deadly earthquake last month. World Bank President Ajay Banga, while addressing a press conference, said that interest rates will stay higher for longer. He called wars extremely challenging for central banks. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that though the situation in Israel is a cause for additional concern, the American economy will most likely see only a soft landing.
The situation in Israel poses, additional concerns. So I'm not saying that a soft landing is an absolutely sure thing, but I do continue to think it's the most likely path. Well, these are funds that are sitting in Qatar that were made available purely for humanitarian purposes. The funds have not been touched. I wouldn't take anything off the table in terms of future possible actions, but I certainly don't want to get ahead of where we are on that.
There's no doubt that inflation has begun to come down. I do think that interest rates will stay higher for longer. That can be a complicated event in many ways, both for investments as well as for people who over the years had got used to a lower interest rate environment. I think those are the plus and minuses there. I believe that wars are completely and extremely challenging for central banks who were trying to find their way out of a very difficult situation to a relatively soft landing.
Investors poured a record 16,420 crore rupees in September into systematic investment plans or SIPs offered by mutual fund players, as per data from the Association of Mutual Funds in India. Now, funds flow into exchange-traded funds and hybrid funds rose in September on a monthly basis. ETF inflows nearly doubled to more than 3,200 crore rupees. Meanwhile, net inflows into equity mutual funds fell. We told you first, and now it's official. Commodity exchange MCX will go live on its new platform from the 16th of October. A mock trading session will be conducted a day before. The exchange said that it may continue having 63 Moons platform till December and use it as a backup. The MCX stock hit a record high. Earnings season is upon us. TCS is expected to report second quarter numbers in a few minutes from now. Reema Tendulkar is here with the preview.
So Q2 is likely to be a bit muted for the entire industry. In the quarter gone by, it's not that the macro environment improved substantially, but the good thing is it's not deteriorated. So it's more of the same of what we've seen. For TCS, we're expecting a top-line growth of about 0.8% in dollar terms and in constant currency terms. But the focus is going to be on the commentary. Now, the reason why IT stocks have outperformed over the last 3 months is on account of two reasons. One, expectation that in FY25, growth will recover. Right? If in FY25 growth is going to recover, then the street will want to hear from the management that there are green shoots, that indeed maybe the worsening of the demand has bottomed out. There is a pickup in discretionary spend. So the commentary is going to be very crucial. And the second reason for the outperformance has been the strong deal wins. Now, TCS, for instance, announced an £800 million deal with JLR. Very large deal. Just towards the end of June, they announced an £840 million deal with the Nest Group. According to Kotak, for TCS, this quarter, the total contract wins, that's TCV, it basically means deal wins, could be up 48% on a year-on-year basis, much higher than what we've seen. Coming to the other key numbers, margins. Margins are likely to be up on a quarter-on-quarter basis, and that's because in the prior quarter, margins were depressed due to a wage hike. Profits, according to our poll, seen up 1%. To quickly summarize, three things we need to watch. One, demand commentary. Two, under K. Krithivasan, we did see some organization rechanges, structuring, right? So any change in strategy. And the third and the most important one is going to be on the buyback. Now, TCS has said, along with numbers, they will consider a buyback. It will be the company's fifth buyback, and the street is expecting a buyback size between 18 to 22,000 crore rupees. So I think numbers and buyback on top of the street's mind when it comes to TCS.
Right, thank you, Reema, for that. Electronics giant Samsung's profit plunged 78% annually for the third quarter. The drop was largely led by the slump in the memory chips market. The company's operating profit dropped to $1.8 billion, while sales dipped 12.7%. However, the company's management said that the numbers were better than expected. The government may offload only 3.5% of its 29.5% stake in Hindustan Zinc through the initial offer for sale, as investor demand remains tepid. As per a report by Money Control, retaining 26% will allow the government to keep some key shareholding rights. Government officials told Money Control that investors want the government to remain a shareholder, and there's a lack of interest from institutional investors in Hindustan Zinc, with Vedanta as the promoter. Bank of Baroda's board has approved raising up to 10,000 crore rupees via long-term bonds. The bank said that it will float long-term bonds for financing infrastructure and affordable housing. The approval comes a day after the Reserve Bank barred the bank from onboarding new customers via the bank's mobile application. ITC Chairman Sanjeev Puri has said that he is optimistic about better demand going forward. Speaking to my colleague Yash Jain on the sidelines of vibrant Gujarat curtain raiser event in Mumbai, Puri said that the rural economy was performing much better.
We commissioned 5 manufacturing facilities last year. There are 3 more in the pipeline. As far as the rural situation is concerned, I think given that the monsoon was better in September, I think the situation is much better. We are already seeing some green shoots of pickup. I think with the passage of time, with a good crop, good harvest, I think the demand should pick up from here further. So I am optimistic.
Smartphone maker Vivo Mobiles India said that it firmly adheres to its ethical principles and remains dedicated to legal compliance. This comes after the Enforcement Directorate arrested 3 executives of Vivo Mobiles India, including a Chinese national, in connection with a money laundering case. In a statement, Vivo also expressed concerns over the arrests and said that the company will exercise all available legal options. The Central Bureau of Investigation has registered an FIR against NewsClick for alleged violation of Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. The agency carried out searches at 2 locations linked to the website's founder, Prabir Purkayastha. Yesterday, a Delhi court sentenced Purkayastha and HR head Amit Chakraborty to 10-day judicial custody in another case filed against under the stringent Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The CAG of India has transferred officers, including those who worked on 2 of the 12 key audit reports that were presented during the monsoon session, according to a report by The Wire. The transfer orders were issued just a month after the Parliament session ended on the 11th of August. The report has also indicated that the officers transferred worked on audit reports which alleged corruption in the Dwarka Expressway project and Ayushman Bharat scheme. Cough syrup maker Marin Biotech, which was linked to the death of 65 children in Uzbekistan last year, has reportedly received permission to reopen its factory in Uttar Pradesh. A Reuters report quoted the drug regulator's order, which said there was no known case of lack of quality in other medicines made by Marin Biotech. A Delhi court has summoned BJP leader and former Minister Shahnawaz Hussain in connection with a rape case on the 20th of October. The FIR was registered after a woman alleged rape and criminal intimidation by Hussain, among other offences. The Delhi police filed a cancellation report stating that no case was made out. The complainant filed a protest petition in response to the police report. And it's time for a short break. Coming up next, Zaheer Khan speaks about the ongoing World Cup. He believes India and England are the strongest teams and that South Africa could be a dark horse. Stay tuned, we'll be back. Welcome back. The International Olympic Committee's most powerful body is set to meet in Mumbai this week. On the agenda is the potential inclusion of cricket in the Olympics. Shireen Bhan is here with more.
Mumbai is all set to host the International Olympic Committee's 141st session after a gap of 40 years. Now, Mumbai will play host to the IOC Executive Board meeting, which takes place between the 12th and the 14th of October, while the IOC session itself will be held between the 15th to the 17th of October. So what is this IOC session and why is it so important? That's the question. The IOC session is the supreme decision-making body of the Olympic movement. So from key appointments that happen to picking the host city to adding new sports to the Olympics, all of those decisions are taken at the IOC sessions. How did India win the rights to host this landmark session? Well, an Indian delegation led by Nita Ambani made a pitch at the 139th session in Beijing. Nita Ambani is the first Indian woman to be elected a member of the IOC, and that delegation also included India's first individual Olympic gold medal winner, Abhinav Bindra. Now, Mumbai won the rights to host the event with 99% of the votes, and which is why the 141st session is taking place here. So more than 600 members of the sporting world's elite are currently in Mumbai. 100 nations and over 50 sports are being represented at the 141st session. The session will be a landmark moment for Indian sport and a significant stepping stone towards India's aspiration of hosting the Youth Olympics and eventually the Olympic Games, perhaps in the future. Now, speaking to CNBC-TV18, IOC President Thomas Bach said the IOC will welcome India's bid to host the Olympics in the future. With over 100 medals at the recently concluded Asian Games, India is starting to emerge as a country with the potential and promise of becoming a sporting powerhouse. This if there are right policies, infrastructure development and financial assistance at the grassroots level. And if all of this is not enough, there is one more reason to be excited about the IOC session in Mumbai. It's likely to decide which sports will be added to the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. This is a big CNBC-TV18 news break, which we are now confirming. Cricket is in the shortlist along with 4 other sports. So cricket making it to the shortlist. Will it finally get the go-ahead? The final decision is likely to be taken in the next few days at the 141st session of the IOC.
Now it's in the hands of the organizing committee of LA to make a proposal, and then once we have this proposal, then the IOC Executive Board will take a decision. And
soon, I imagine.
From today on, it should be exactly a week. The T20 format was necessary. With the traditional format, we could not have accommodated cricket in the Olympic program. But with the T20 format, this would be very possible. So let's see when the proposal is coming. I think you can imagine from my answer what my answer to such a request would be.
Meanwhile, Anita Ambani-led Reliance Foundation has signed a cooperation agreement with the IOC to promote the Olympic Values Education Program in India. The partnership is aimed at fostering Olympic values through sports among young people.
We as Indians are so proud to welcome the Olympic movement back to India after 40 years. Reliance Foundation is delighted to partner with OWEP, and we are really looking out to this partnership. OWEP brings both sports and education together. With this partnership, we hope to positively impact the 250 million school-going children of India, reaching out to the remotest villages and regions of India, giving them options of a more disciplined, healthier, fitter and more ethical lifestyle.
All right, on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Indian cricketer Zaheer Khan believes India and England will be the strongest teams this World Cup. Speaking to my colleague Mangalam Malu, Zaheer Khan also said South Africa will be the dark horse in the tournament. Take a look.
Very excited that the World Cup again is in India, and the team is shaping up very well, looking good. So there to support the team, very excited.
So your top 4 for the semi-finals and top 2 for the finals? Your mind and heart together.
The predictions, everyone has been saying India, England and Australia, right? The 4th team, they're saying either Pakistan or New Zealand, so that's where it is going. But for me, I've been saying that the dark horse and the team which is looking good is South Africa.
Yeah, and the final happens. India is one of them. Who's the other one?
From that point of view, I still feel India and England are the 2 strongest team in this this competition.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC. The news continues on the other side.